Get ready for it. Yeah, this is it.
B1, so there you are.
Hi, VT. How's it going?
Yeah, a long time no speak. Certainly not in this sense. For our next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going pretty well. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm going okay. Yeah, it has been a while, so nice to come together, share a beer, have a little bit of a chat about the year, I guess. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
missed these little catch-ups actually.
yeah, no, it's good. Fortunately, yes, I have got a beer in at hand here. Um, I don't know if you can read it, but it was a Christmas gift. It seems to be fading in and out.
Yeah, world's tallest elf.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, from a friend. So very nice. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Um, It has been a while, but I thought what we should chat about is just some reflections from 2023. Certainly a big running year, particularly for you, and some of it's probably a stronger first half than a second half potentially, but we crammed a fair bit into the first half. So I just thought it would be nice to talk about a few of those highlights and a few of the ups and downs, if you like, and finish off perhaps what might be in store for 24. How's
Yeah,
it sound?
sounds good, Kev. It's good to yeah, I mean, it has been a very lopsided year of running for me. We'll talk a bit more about it, but it'll be good to reflect on the year for sure.
Okay, excellent. Well, we'll get into it. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and then I'll throw it to you, and then I'll reply to that as well with my own thoughts. But let's jump into the first one. So I think I know the answer to this one, but I could be wrong. What was your most memorable running experience and why?
Yeah, I think you've probably guessed it. It would be a travesty if I didn't say it was Comrades, but obviously it is Comrades. Yeah, I mean, it obviously probably ranks as my sort of biggest Sydney running event or race. And yeah, I mean, the why is obviously yeah, it's massive in terms of there was big lead up as we talked about and featured on these sort of Comrades diaries quite often. The race was absolutely amazing, very special to stand there on the start line with you, Kev, which was amazing. Go through a whole range of different things through that race. Yeah, can't even remember them all, to be honest. It seems like a bit of a distant memory now. And then, yeah, and crossing the finish line, just absolutely amazing bucket list item for me. So it was really good to tick that off. And then the celebration that we had afterwards was pretty good as well. So we did some really sort of good stuff in South Africa with our respective partners and some friends, which was very cool. So yeah, it's hard to beat that one, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And for me, it's going to be the same hill, the Comrades. And for me, it wasn't the 90, right? It was the 15, or slightly less than 15 even. But just to be there and experience what Comrades is all about, and everything you hear about it is absolutely true, and then some. So I just yeah, I felt very privileged to be there and to make it. And even though it was disappointing for me, I actually really got a lot out of that, and also took a few setbacks after that injury wise, but it was still something I reflect on and go, I'm so glad I did it. And to then be able to witness you moving through the race and supporting you was definitely extremely memorable. And I know how much it meant to you, particularly in the lead up and the diaries. I mean, and you became a bit of a scholar of the race, a la Bruce Fordyce. And, I know you read all the books and enjoyed all the history. So, yeah, I mean, it was as much for me as the journey as it was obviously the short distance I ran, but just to be a part of it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, we often say it's about the journey rather than the actual sort of event. And I think Comrade certainly was. And it was great that even though you couldn't complete the full race, you could pretty much come on the whole journey. So I think, yeah, very, very similar in that regard. So, yeah.
big tick in the box. Well done, and it's a mammoth feat that you achieved there. And I know that you were still spending some time processing, and and over time, and perhaps some of the questions I've got here might actually have helped you reflect a little bit more on that achievement. So awesome job. So that was about the most memorable running experience. What about the most fun running event or moment for you in 2023?
Yeah, I mean, this was actually quite a hard one because I mean there was lots of running, particularly in the first half of the year, and lots of great runs with mates, etc. But I'm going to answer two things here. I've boiled it down to two things, so hopefully that's allowable, Kev.
Yeah, I've got two as well.
Okay. We might have one that's in common, I suspect, but anyway, I'm going first. So, yeah, the first one was my long training run, 58 Ks that I knocked out. I can't remember even when it was, to be honest, but did it down here in Inverloch. Just a great weekend. I got a bunch of running mates together. We spent the weekend down here, and we sort of ran it in a bit of a relay for them. Obviously, I was trying to get 58 Ks, but we started really, really early in the morning from the house. Paul and James we set out and ran sort of inland, and then ran with Brian and ran with Josh, and Dylan was there at the finish. So a lot of it on the Great Southern Rail Trail. But just the support and running with those different good mates was just amazing, and it was obviously a pretty long time. I think it was close to 6 hours. So, yeah, I mean it was tough, but it was actually fun. I look back at that and go, it was just that's why we run. Those sort of moments was really amazing.
Yeah, the support you would have got from those guys, it makes such a difference. And no doubt channeled some of that when you were running Comrades and those experiences that you'd had. And I know you had also the support of the family and little notes and things like that. But I think, yeah, to try and do all that training on your own, particularly with, the longer runs, would be very, very hard. So I'm sure that meant a lot. And hopefully for them, they got a bit out of it too.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I think. Well, we had a great weekend despite the running. So anyway, yeah, so that was the one, Kevin. Then the second was part of the Comrades celebration that I mentioned. George and Dragon Pub in I think that's the name of it, in Schlanga.
Yeah.
To be honest, when I crossed the finish line, I wasn't ready for beers at that point. But the next day, I think, yeah, it was the next day. Yeah, I was ready for a couple of beers. We turned up there, it was just packed with Comrades runners, and we were standing in the street basically having a couple of beers. Really nice vibe. Everyone obviously celebrating their run, and then to top it, we obviously met Howder Stain, who'd broken the record. Phenomenal run in the women's Comrades, and just so good. Both of us had a lovely chat to her, such a lovely down to earth person. So that was actually a really nice way to celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah, well remembered. And when I was thinking about it earlier in the week, that certainly was one of my highlights. I'm very proud of that photo with Hada.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing. You're right. I think that was a lot of fun. I think when I was thinking running event, I'd sort of almost forgotten that was a ancillary event to running, but it certainly was with runners, and it was great fun. And Sandra was there as well, my wife. So that was fantastic. We had a great time, and hard to top that when you've done something hard and then you amongst the community of runners. It's a good feeling. The other one I had, Hill, was the Acacia Marathon in Pretoria, and I suppose for me that was a bit unexpected. We were in South Africa. We needed to do a long training run, and the people we were staying with just said, "Oh, well, why don't you, how far do you need to do?" And we sort of said, "Oh, I think about 35 Ks." And they go, "Oh, well, just do a marathon." I'm sure there are plenty of marathons going on, and they themselves weren't runners, but they were right. There was a marathon, and we looked it up and went and organized our entries, and it was just very exciting to be in a different, country and our hometown, and then to sign up to that. And to be honest, for me, I was still relatively pain-free at that point in time. So we ran that very comfortably. It was pretty warm, but we ran as a training run and was so enjoyable just doing it a little bit slower. And certainly when we talk about sort of reflections, that's one of the things that I started thinking about is, sometimes doing things a bit more slowly and stop worrying about the time does make a difference. So I thoroughly enjoyed that run and being there with you doing that as well. Yeah, I'll probably leave it there because I think we've probably covered 3. So that's
no, and I mean, I remember that obviously well, Kev. And I was actually reflecting. I mean, it's been a massive year. I ran four marathons in the first half of the year, including Comrades. 2 of those, one was that marathon in Pretoria that you talk about. The other was obviously our qualifier in Port Fairy, but 2 of those with you, so that was pretty special. But yeah, that was a good one because it was sort of an off the cuff type of run, as you say. I remember, turning up like 5 minutes before at the start line, and there wasn't trying to figure out when the gun was going to go off, and then suddenly everyone just started moving, and then we were going. So yeah, it was sort of not the way we would probably normally build up to a marathon, but it was really good. And as you said, you were relatively pain-free, and you were pretty strong that day. I was definitely struggling to hold on to you for sure.
Yeah, no, look, yeah, it was great fun, and sometimes I think those impromptu things can be quite good, where it's not a massive build up. You just go, right, okay, I'm rocking up and running, and it was good. Okay, Hill, let's get on to the next one. So just on the reflection side of things, so what has running taught you about yourself this year?
Yeah, this was, I find, a really tough question, Kev, because I'm still trying to figure the answer out, to be honest. I mean, part of the reason I mean, there are lots of reasons I took on Comrades, but one of the things was I thought I would actually learn something about myself, like pushing myself to sort of, those new limits, if you like, physically and mentally. So I find it, I think, I mean, one of the things, and I don't know whether it's taught me this, but it's certainly something that has become very clear to me is, as we always say, if you put your mind to something and you really are dedicated and you give it a good go, you can be successful. And, I felt that, I was pretty sort of dedicated and disciplined, and it was important to me. So I did do that, and I think I got the results. So that was one of the things I reflected on. The other one was like, as much as you think you can sort of anticipate, I guess, how things are going to turn out, they never do turn out that way. So for me with Comrades, I thought the challenge would be probably on the physical side. We always talk about our chassis not being that strong, Kev, and I obviously put on a lot of work and on the strength side and all of that. And to be honest, that was my expectation, was that was where I would struggle. And I fortunately got through that pretty well. And probably, the thing where I struggled more was actually probably on the mental side, which, I've always considered myself pretty resilient in that way. And not so much during the race or during the training, but I just certainly found afterwards I struggled to come to terms with, suddenly the drop off in running, that sort of low that you get after, having achieved something and then getting thrown back into some challenging work, etc. I actually found the months after Comrades a lot tougher than the months leading into Comrades. So, yeah, I mean, I have reflected on that. Have I learned stuff about that? Yeah, I probably have. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is, though.
Yeah, no, I could see that in terms of how you experienced it, and sometimes the expectation you have of the way you're going to feel is not exactly the way you do feel, and I suppose that can bring on disappointment in itself, where you sort of go, oh, well, I was expecting this emotion and I didn't quite experience that, but perhaps then you experience a different emotion and you've sort of got to got to try and sort of come to terms with that and go, well, that's the way I feel, and there's probably a reason for that. Yeah, so it's fascinating, I suppose, in terms of what running does give you, and sometimes sometimes a bit unexpected, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's life anyway, right? But yeah, and it's certainly running. I mean, you can never, I think you're always sort of solving problems as you go along in running, and I mean, you certainly are in life as well. So I mean, that was certainly my experience. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, from my point of view, I suppose it was a bit of a tale of injury, unfortunately. But that said, within all of that, there were still some silver linings. And what probably I learned during the year was a bit more patience and restraint. And it's probably only in the second half of the year that I've really fully sort of understood that, and that the injury I had was not something that was going to miraculously be fixed. And as much as you put a lot of hope in the treatments and the people that you go and see for injuries, sometimes it's going to take a lot longer. And so I've certainly learned a bit more patience and restraint. And even over the last few months, I've tried to get out there and do a bit of running. And each time I have, I've been, a bit disappointed. So it's kind of meant going back to the drawing board and really trying to focus rather on rehab rather than actual running. So the more I read about it, the more I go, it's probably going to take the best part of a year to really get strong enough to return fully to running. But out of that comes some opportunities as well. And I've, as you know, got into a bit more cycling again. And my view has sort of become that some running is better than no running. So that's something to bear in mind, I think, for all runners, is that we're so used to just being able to get out there and run. And then as soon as we get injured, we get very bitterly disappointed and we try and rush back into it as soon as we're feeling better. And often that's the wrong thing to do, because it becomes your life and your passion. And so, yeah, I'm finding I'm having to channel a bit of that into slightly different pursuits as well, and just be patient around the rehab. The cycling's been good, and I've joined some of my old mates cycling again, and very excited to let you know, and I know I'll let you know a little bit earlier, but that a couple of friends and myself are going to get into a bit of surf skiing. I was telling a few of the guys at cycling this morning, and they didn't believe me. So this is now official. I have bought a surf ski, and yeah, just really looking forward to it. We've had a couple of trial runs just on the river, just trying to get a sense of how it all works, and then deciding what boat to get. But very excited. Got a Fen Bluefin, which is a South African brand and pretty tried and trusted and quite popular here in Australia. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, one of the things I've realized is, there's lots of pursuits out there, and if it's not running, as long as you're active and enjoying yourself and following passion, you can still get lots of enjoyment out of it. So, and lastly, I suppose you alluded to it, running does require strength, both in terms of the mental and the physical side. And you're right, we both sort of have focused quite a lot on the physical side, which I think was necessary, and that's certainly helped you get through Comrades. But mentally, it's such a mind game as well, and sort of struggling with emotions, and in my case, through injury, it was very frustrating, I have to say. And so back to that patience and restraint, I think it's taught me a bit of that. And yeah, so yeah.
I have to say, Kev, I know how much Comrades mean to you, probably as much as it obviously meant to me. So watching you not be able to do that, and then the sort of positive approach you took to it, and frankly have through, I know you've been disappointed and frustrated, but the fact that you got out there and got into the cycling, and then now doing the surf ski. I mean, you obviously don't sit still, but that's a really positive attitude, as frustrating as I know running is your real passion. But the fact that you've been able to just make the most of what you have, and you'll get back into running, that's really good to see. And maybe that strength will convert to a bit of your upper body now as well, Kev.
Yeah, it's interesting because the people we've sort of spoken to have spoken about the benefits of it, and it certainly is an all body workout. And most of the serious paddlers I've met have got physiques like you can't believe. So but
Look
anyway,
out.
it's
Look
going
out.
to take a while to get into that level, and at this stage it feels like all I'm using is my arms, and my arms are not exactly strong. So yeah, well, it'll take a bit of technique, and a bit like running, you know, it's not that easy, and you need balance and you need core strength. But yeah, I think some of those things would translate into running. So hopefully it also just helps keep me in shape, that once my Achilles are settled down, I can get some benefit from that. So the other thing I wanted to reflect on, and I'm sure you've probably reflected on some of the episodes and the diaries that we put together, and sort of what people have got out of them, and how much enjoyment they have. And in YouTube, in a YouTube sense, I mean, we look at the number of views. I know you and I are not that focused on that, but I must admit, stats do play a part in running, and so we've certainly had a glimpse at those. You know, how many views we've got, and I probably won't share the views because, you know, we might embarrass ourselves, but the number of views. But should we talk about the top 5 maybe?
Yeah, go for it. I haven't looked at those in a while, so it'll be fun. Yeah.
All right, we'll start at number 5. So probably not surprising that this one got a little bit of interest, was the Comrades Start Line 2023. And we just did a very impromptu short clip. Maybe that's why it got into the top 5, because you and I tend to talk quite a lot, and that was a short one. So that seemed to have some interest, and certainly for us, I mean, that was just an amazing experience, and hopefully everyone could see you know, what it's all about. So if you're thinking of Comrades still, you've got to do it. It's like no other marathon or ultra. Coming in at number 4, we had Comrades Reflections Part 1. And, you know, I'd imagine people were quite interested to see how you had gone and how we had experienced it and what lessons we had taken out of it. So we put together 2 parts because we spoke so much that it went across into 2 parts. And part 1 came off better than part 2. So that came in at number 4. Number 3 is What is Running High? So that's our inaugural kind of clip that we put together when we were new to this. And I don't know about you, but I could barely string a sentence together at that point. And I think we were reciting it like a poem. But yeah, look, it's still got the essence of what we're about, and why we put Running High together. So I think that one gets a bit of kudos.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to re-record that one, or potentially have a couple of beers before we do that one again. That one, yeah. But it's interesting that yeah, I think people are just curious, right?
Yeah, probably the first thing you get to when you get onto the website as well. And yeah, so thank you for your support on that. We know it was a very basic package. But coming in at number 2 was your Queenstown Marathon. So nice one there, and one of your 4 marathons for the year. And I know that was a special one as well, which you ran with your friend Darren. And any reflections on that quickly?
Yeah, I mean, that's a year ago now. Yeah, that was an amazing event. I mean, Queenstown, beautiful. For those of you who've been there, and then I did it with my good mate Darren. We just had a great time, both in the run. He was very strong. I'm not competitive, but I seem to, whenever I run with you guys, seem to come off second best. And yeah, it just had a great time. I think part of the reason that we have high viewership on that one is that Darren helped that one go a bit viral. Okay.
Yeah, Darren has some connections, eh?
Yeah.
All his pony friends. All right. Now this one probably needs. We don't probably need to guess too much. What came in at number 1? I'm sure you'll know. Can you hazard a guess what came in at number 1?
Yeah, well, I think there's an element of people helping get viewership as well, but I think it was the one with James Mercer. Is that right?
That's it. Yeah, introducing James Mercer.
Yeah, that was yeah, just a bit of kudos to James. I mean, that was obviously a nice little chat we had well before Comrades, but I've done a lot of my running with James. We ran a couple of marathons together. We did a few training runs. He's a lot younger than I am, but I really enjoyed running with him. He's very, very passionate about his running. And yeah, so he's on to bigger and better things. But I mean, he ran Comrades. If you watch the Comrades diaries, you would know got COVID 3 or 4 days before Comrades and still managed to smash out 8.5 hours. So yeah, well done, James.
Yeah, nice
Looking
one,
forward to
James.
your next year of running.
Yeah, and it's and James comes from a lovely family as well. I know you're good mates with them, but we spent some good times together over a meal, and we've seen them as well every time I come to Inverloch. So it's lovely to spend time with James and his family. So fantastic. That's our top five. So he'll tell me what does Running High have in store in 2024, and what's on your sort of agenda personally as well.
Running High 2024, Kev, you and I need to find some time to map that out a little bit. But you know, I'm as passionate, even though the last 6 months has been a bit of a slower month, 6 months for me in terms of running. I'm as passionate as I ever was about running. Running High, you know, it's just a little bit of a side project passion for you and I, Kev. But yeah, I'd love to reignite some of the stuff that we actually talked about on What is Running High video. You know, it's around running as a way of life, really, and particularly for people, I mean, in sort of our time of life, etc. You know, so I would love to. We ran our inaugural Running High retreat last year, which was very successful. And I know a number of people have gone on to say to me how much that sort of meant to them in terms of reigniting their passions and their goals around running. So I'd love to do another one of those, Kev.
Yeah, definitely. That's on our agenda. I know a lot of people here in Perth have also asked me, right, when is it? And so apologies that we haven't had it yet. I think it's just a question of also how much leave one has up your sleeve and how much time. But yeah, we definitely would love to do that. So we will keep you posted on any development on that front. What else, Hill? Anything else that you're thinking of?
Yeah, well, I thought you might let it out the bag, but seeing you've asked me, I'll let it out the bag. We've both booked to go to Cape Town, as you know, Kev.
Yeah.
And so we are hoping that this will be your comeback. Holding thumbs for that for sure. But Cape Town, Two Oceans, is a massive race in South Africa. It's sort of second only to Comrades. I've run it. It's a 56k ultra marathon, but they also run the 21k half. You know, they call it the most beautiful marathon in the world. It's just spectacular. So you and I have entered for the 21, Kev, and we are hoping to get there to the start line and run that one together, which will be amazing.
Yeah, I might have to take the moon boot that I purchased last time and take that with me just as a bit of a fallback option. But no, yeah, it's a good little goal to have. It's an expensive one, but it's a good one.
It's an
And
expensive half marathon. I've been told, well, if you're going to go all of that way and incur all that expense, surely you would run the 56k.
oh no, well, look, one thing I've also learned is it's not all about distance and it's about enjoyment. So I think, you know, to run in a beautiful part of the world and then still potentially be able to go out and have a meal and spend some time with friends and not feel like you've got to collapse into bed is also probably not a bad thing. So we'll do this one a little bit lighter, albeit I must say for me 21 is going to be a stretch. I'm off a zero base now um, and yeah, obviously the rehabilitation needs to precede the running. So I'll just try and keep going with the strength work and hopefully that gets me there. And then I'll probably just wing it after that, as long as my Achilles can hold out. That'll be the key.
Yeah, well, don't we've got plenty of time to talk about it. It's in April sometime, but yeah, I mean, hopefully your rehab continues to go well. You certainly don't want to set yourself back trying to do something that you're not ready to do.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's right. And I think Hill, just to your point around other things we might do next year, he's certainly try and keep up some episodes, not as frequent as our diaries, but maybe try and put something out monthly around a topic. Also love to get some more guests involved. I know we've got one particularly lined up. You spoke about someone who's really got a lot out of the inaugural retreat and got some massive results this year. He's so active on Strava, and that's Paul. So Paul, we'd love to have you on the show at some point. So Hill's going to line you up, and so it'd be great to have a few guests on the show as well, and do that. And I'm sure you don't want to listen to B1 and B2 all the time, so we promise to line up that as well.
Yeah.
Do we promise, Hill?
Sorry.
Do we promise? Do you promise?
Yeah. No, as I said, I've actually missed these chats. So absolutely, let's get back on it next year, Kev.
And what would running high be without a bit of merch as well? So I'm thinking a bit of merch might be in order as well. So we'll let you know if we are able to get our hands on some merch in 24.
Yeah.
So a few things to look forward to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Hill, as is customary and tradition, I presume you've come up with a quote, and maybe it's an original, maybe it's something you've written yourself, or you were talking it up, but
Yeah. No, it's not something I've written myself. You need to give me more warning for that. But yeah, I mean, I was reflecting on, where I've drawn inspiration from this year, and I mean, to be honest, I think I've drawn inspiration mainly from, just everyday people, family, friends, you battling through your injury, Kev, family doing it tough back in South Africa. Just, every time I go out for a run, I do reflect on how grateful I am, and I draw inspiration from that. But the other inspiration that I drew, and we couldn't get through this running high video without mentioning the Springboks Rugby World Cup victory.
yes.
I know it was after Comrades, but I drew a lot of inspiration from that amazing effort that they put in. I just love the team ethic. I love the way they come together, and I think, for me, it was actually a lesson in, they probably weren't the best team, to be honest, but it was a lesson in, it probably meant more to them than anyone else. And I know, that's been my experience a little bit with Comrades. It meant a lot to me. So when you have that very deep why as to why you're doing something, it really actually can make a massive difference. So the Springboks have been a massive inspiration to me, and particularly also Siya Kolisi, the captain. I recently read his book called Rise. There was a nice quote in there, which is not about rugby or running, but just more a life quote. And the quote is, we are all nothing without our past. It's what helps us make sense of our present and our future. And that's a quote by Siya Kolisi in his book. And yeah, I mean, you amazing stories, for so many Springboks, but particularly Siya, and that resonated with me because Comrades was a little bit of a large reason I did it was connecting with my past. So I like that quote.
Yeah, I like the connection to past, and certainly the why. We've spoken a lot about the why of running, and I think you're right. That does stand out as something that's struck probably everyone to get those results. Yeah, maybe a little bit of luck, but also it meant so much to that team, and I think legitimately, I know there's been some criticism, or naysayers, but I think you probably wouldn't see a more authentic guy than Siya, is my sense. And when he comes across on the TV, and likewise, if you watch some of his podcasts or listen to some of his podcasts, incredible guy with an incredible story. So definitely a book worth getting by the sound of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd recommend the read. I mean, there's a lot of rugby in it, but there's a lot of just life lessons and a lot on leadership in there as well, which he's obviously shown an immense talent at.
Thanks, Hill. Nice quote. And just lastly, to everyone out there, just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and all the best for the 24, particularly from a running perspective. And we look forward to coming to you again in 24 with some more stories from B1 and B2.
Yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks for watching this year, and thank you for all of the support, particularly around Comrades. It really meant a lot. So yeah, looking forward to a big 2024.
Nice, Phil. Thanks. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Good to chat.
Cheers. Bye.
Yes, bye.
the greatest memory, making history. Let's go. You don't need no luck with that golden touch. Time to light it up. Let's go. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Yeah, this is it. Go! Go! Yeah, this is it. Go! Let's go! This is it. Yeah, it's about to break. Got what it's gonna take. Go ahead and own that stage. Let's go. When you're made for this, yeah, it's obvious. Top another list. Let's go. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Yeah, this is it. Go! Go! Yeah, this is it. Go! Let's go! This is it. It's now or it's never. No plan with forever. It's now or it's never. Yeah. It's down to the wire. Who gonna take the empire? It's down to the wire. This is it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. This